Hello, today we are talking about Agrath bat Malat, the demoness of the Jewish lore and one of the four matrons of the sacred prostitution. This will be the beginning of the video series which will end in full online video course for Agrath bat Malat, the first video course of that kind available on the internet. So, who is Agrath bat Malat? And what is sacred prostitution? And how one can benefit from her mysteries? Agrath bat Malat is one of the four chief demonesses, or five, depending on the hierarchy, in the Jewish mythology. Those demonesses are Agrath bat Malat, her mother Malat, Eshet Zenuin, Nama, and Lilith. They are together known as matronesses of the sacred prostitution. Sometimes Agrath is excluded and Malat, her mother, is added. But whoever wrote the list always included either Agrath or her daughter Malat to have chief role among the female underworld entities. Those five or four entities, depending on the list, represent the female part of the dark infernal feminine, and they are fundamental part of the night side or the dark side of the Hebrew mysticism. In this video we will cover Agrath bat Malat, who is the youngest and possibly the weakest of the five. But she is the weakest among the strongest, not the strongest among the weakest. Despite her being the weakest of five matronesses, she is extremely powerful being, capable of initiating sorcerer in many ways. She is usually attributed to the element of water and direction of the west. She is also attributed to the winter solstice. She is usually attributed in traditional Kabbalistic lore to the following planets: Moon and the Earth. But some also attribute her to Saturn and Jupiter as a planet. Her lore is extremely unknown in Western magic. There are few references to her known to us in Hebrew literature translated into English. One of those references is Agrath as demon who dances upon the rooftops and attacks the faithful, quote unquote, on Wednesday and Saturday nights. So, she is probably attributed to Mercury and Saturn according to traditional demonology. My personal guess is that she is attributed to following planets in the following order: Mercury, Saturn, Moon, Venus, and latest the Earth. To me, she is mostly a Mercurian entity, related to initiation and transformation. The best time to summon Agrath bat Malat is Wednesday night. I use more archaic model to determine Wednesday night, and according to that model, Wednesday night is actually night before the day of the Wednesday, not the night after the day of the Wednesday. So, to make this simple, the best time to evoke Agrath bat Malat is the Tuesday night, the night before the Wednesday. Because in archaic grimoires, the night of the planet is not the night after the day of the planet, rather the night of the planet is night before the day of the planet. So, let's say you want to conjure spirit in the Monday night. it is actually night before Monday, which is Saturday evening. And the reasoning for that, not Saturday evening, but the Sunday evening, sorry. And the reason for that is that during the night, before the day associated with a certain planet, the power of that planet is rising. So, for example, during the Saturday night, the energies of the moon are rising. During the Sunday night, the energies of the moon are rising. During the Tuesday night, energies of the Mercury are rising. During the Wednesday night, energies of Jupiter are rising, because Thursday or Thursday, day of Jupiter, is after Wednesday. So I hope you get my model, what I am trying to say. So the best time to evoke Agrath Bat Malat is actually Tuesday night, the night after Tuesday, which is the night when the energies of Mercury are rising. The best hour to evoke Agrath Bat Malat is in the hour of Mercury during the night. However, if you cannot tap the correct hour, it is good enough to tap the correct day. If you cannot tap correct day, you can tap correct hour. It is the best to align the both of them. But if you cannot align the both of them, choose one of them to work in. Of course, you can work with Agrath Bat Malat also during the Wednesday day, but she is much stronger during the night. So, once we cleared this, let's return to the lore of Agrath Bat Malat once again, her origins and powers. She is the daughter of the witch Malat and the demon Igratiel. Agrath is conceived within the desert, where her mother Malat taught her many sorcerers and sorceries. She was, according to my personal gnosis, born as a demon. She never had a human body, because she was conceived through the spiritual union of the demon Igratiel and her mother Malat, and since Igratiel never had a body, Malat was unable to physically conceive. She conceived Agrath only astrally, so Agrath was never human. Since Malat was a really powerful witch and Igratiel was a really powerful demonic being, Agrath was immediately born into Empress. So she was born into kingship. She was born into ruralship. And she became demon, which during the planetary nights of Wednesday, planetary nights of Mercury and planetary nights of Saturn, attacks people, which is actually Tuesday night and Friday night, as I said previously in the video. The strongest night for the magical operation attributed to the certain planet is actually night before the day of the planet, not the night after the day of the planet. Now, when we cleared this, let's consider the following in her mythology. She is known for three things: dancing on the rooftops, attacking the righteous during the certain nights associated with the certain planets, and also devouring the souls of the wicked. She was also known in certain Hebrew texts to be mother of the demon Asmodeus, together with King David. We will talk about that aspect of the lore later on. So, regarding Agrath Bat Malat, let's decode and talk about aspects of her lore. what it means to dance upon the rooftop. In order to understand this metaphor, we need to understand some things about the ancient world. People back in the day lived in houses with flat roofs, and on those roofs, women usually displayed their clothing and bathed themselves during the certain days of the week. So, for Agrath to dance upon the rooftops, it has two meanings. It has a meaning of her as an initiator who dances upon the rooftop between two worlds, and it also has a meaning of her as a demon who tempts by lusts, both men and women. So those are two meanings of the rooftop dancer. Also, display of the clothing symbolizes the act of initiation. Changing of the clothing symbolizes the changing of the lower self with the ascendant self. So rooftop as a place where women change clothing in the ancient Middle East, and where women bath during the certain days of the week which are considered holy, is definitely something which is deeply connected to the initiation, both bathing and changing of the clothes. So what about Agrath attacking people during the certain days of the week? The symbolism is really clear. During those nights associated with those planets, you can conjure her more effectively. This is suggested in the lore, and also what is suggested is that she is the enemy of the mainstream religion. Symbolical devouring of initiates by her talks about the danger she possesses if mistreated, as well as her ability to initiate. Devouring is metaphorical and alchemical symbolism for the initiation as well. The third thing she is known for is devouring the souls of the wicked in Sheol, or pit, or hell, depending on what text you read. It is pretty clear then that it symbolizes Agrath as a guardian and keeper to the greatest form of initiation, which is immersion into the underworld. This aspect of the lore expresses that she is indeed the initiator of initiators. All of her lore, all of her texts are definitely deeply connected to the symbolism of initiation. If we talk about the matroness for beginners who want to tap into female aspect of the demonic, it is not Nama or Lilith or Aeshet or Malat you should come to. The spirit you should come to is Agrath. So, Agrath is the great initiator of the female aspect of the left-hand path. All of the aspects of her lore point exactly to that, and we will, for the rest of this video, talk about Agrath as a symbol of Mercurian wisdom. So truly, she is deeply attributed to Mercury as a planet. And all of her mysteries have some kind of Mercurian and Saturnian overtone, more Mercurian than Saturnian. Balancing yourself with the Mercury as a planet is extremely powerful and necessary in work with her. She commands the legion of demons known as Nashmirion, or malignant woman. There is a really powerful ritual in which you call the legions of Nashmirion to devour your astral body for the purpose of initiation. Once that ritual is performed, you will be greatly attuned to the female aspect of the left-hand path and completely transformed. This ritual will be given later in this course. But how one can attune to Mercury and the energies of Mercury in order to work with Agrath? It is really simple. You should simply raise the sacred space and repeat the mantra you will see on the screen. Ha Agrath Batmalat Hashedim. And after you repeat it enough in the sacred space, Agrath will come. When she comes, when you feel her energy, then tell her that you want to attune yourself to the darker aspects of the planet of Mercury, as well as sublunar spheres of the underworld she originates from. Give that request in your own words. Do this meditation with her, in her energy, for the attunement to sublunar spheres and the darker aspects of Mercury for 9 days. Then you can proceed to the advanced workings and initiations with Agrath Batmalat. So, this is all for this video about Agrath, the great initiator of the demonic feminine and the wise lady of Mercury. But I need to talk about another aspect of her lore before we end this video. As Agrath as the teacher of sages. In the Talmud, Agrath Batmalat is known to be the teacher and the spiritual guide of the Jewish sage known as Amemar or Armemar, depending on what text you read. It is pretty clear. In the mythology, Amemar is one of the rabbis who is called before the Persian king to defend the rights of the Jewish people and judge them. So what the Lord tells us is that even masters of the opposite polarity from Agrath Batmalat, which swore an oath to serve only the Sephirotic side, cannot refuse the temptations of Agrath Batmalat and wisdom she offers. This myth shows us, or legend or historical account, depending on how you see things. This myth shows us that Agrath Batmalat offers much more to the initiate than sexual gratification. She offers total reforging and empowerment of mind, which is fundamental for spiritual ascension. She is indeed the mother of the sages. She gives birth to wisdom. She is the guide of the sorcerers and the mistress of witchcraft. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope you will enjoy the entire series dedicated to this powerful demoness. Hello, this video is a step-by-step guide how to summon Agrath Batmalat, one of the 4 demonic empresses, the Queen of Initiation and Empress of Mercury, the ruler of Gamaliel according to my personal hierarchy, the daughter of illusions, and the best female entity which should be approached for beginners. Evocation of Agrath Batmalat starts with the raising of the sacred space. Those are the words of power to raise the sacred space. You will see them on the screen in front of you. And study them well. Write them down and respect the procedure and instructions you will find within this video. Agrita erenashmirion, Igrita hiraver, Igrita hirata hetar, Eletia hisse, Igrita kodeshia vite. I call you Agrath Batmalat, the Queen of Initiation, to raise the sacred space with the power of your holy names. Agrath, Igrit, Igritela, Vasharia. So this is conjuration. You should repeat over and over again while visualizing the sphere of light blue energy radiating and penetrating the edges of your sacred space until you can feel the wall and the barrier of light blue energy radiating from the edges of your sacred space. Now you ask how I should define the barriers of my sacred space. The barriers of the sacred space can be defined mentally via visualization, but it is much easier to actually draw a circle around the edges of your sacred space and write the Hebrew names of Agrath Bat Malat at the edges of the circle. Within my evocation method, there is no separate circle and a triangle. There is only one bigger protection circle, which protects the magician as well as marks the end of the sacred space where the spirit will appear. Spirit will be called in the same circle magician sits. This represents the union between spirit and magician. So, once you feel the barrier of energy radiating from the edges of your sacred space, it means that you raise the sacred space properly. I need to emphasize once again, while repeating the conjuration you see right now on the screen, you actually visualize the ball of light blue energy above your crown chakra, radiating rays and penetrating with those light blue rays the edges of your sacred space until you feel and maybe even see, if you are sentient enough, the rays of light blue energy rising as a barrier from the edges of your space. If you really want to mark space effectively, draw the circle and within the outer and inner lines of the circle, write the names of Agrath Bat Malat in Hebrew. Now, once we cleared how to raise the sacred space, let's go to the next part of the video, which is evocation of Agrath Bat Malat. Next step, evocation, is simple and it is adapted for beginners. You should repeat the following magical chants. Each chant should be repeated 9 times, as you can see on the screen. The chants are Ha Agrath Bat Malat, Ha Shedim, Ha Egrista Igrita Erani, Agrath Taina Taeti. Those 3 chants should be repeated 9 times until spirit is presenced. How we know that we presence the spirit? First, in order to ensure that actual spirit will appear and not some imposter, we need to raise the sacred space properly, as described in previous part of the video. Then we have to possess the true and good sigil of the entity. You will also see sigil of the entity on the screen during the end of this part of the video. You need to look into the sigil of the entity while focusing on the emotion and intention to summon the spirit. Then, after you build up your focus to summon the spirit and build up the emotion, start repeating the chants mechanically over and over again in series of 9 in a row. All 3 of those chants over and over again until you feel pressure in the circle with you. Now, when you feel that pressure and the shift in the circle with you, what you should do is you shouldn't stop repeating and instead focus on the presence of the spirit while repeating the chants. Once you build the presence of the spirit enough, give the request of the spirit in those words. I call you Agrath Bat Malat, the teacher of the sages, the beauty of the world of the night. Fill me with your spiritual power and do my request. Then state your request. After that, repeat the following magical chants. 2 magical chants should be repeated 9 times and the last magical chant only once, as you see on the screen. Igrit vatae veni, vatae igrit enna. This is the pronunciation of the chant. And the last chant, which is repeated only once, is Hitwa Agrath Eranu. So, after you repeated those 2 chants 9 times and last chant once, then talk to the spirit even more and acknowledge the presence of the spirit. alongside your requests, which you already gave. Ask Spirit few questions and communicate with the Spirit. Agrath, more than any other demonic empress, indeed enjoys the communication with the human beings. She is really glad to communicate with us and empower us through opening of our psychic abilities. She enjoys working with the humans, and she is truly gentle if the human is willing to practice the mysteries of the left-hand path and tap into the left emanation of the Creator, which is the void. However, if you approach the Agrath Batmalat from the perspective of the right emanation, and if you try to bind her and constrain her, or if you consider her to be evil, at first she will maybe be gentle to you, but later on and really quickly she will become pissed, attack you, and it will be a really unpleasant experience. That's why in Kabbalistic writings, Agrath Batmalat is described as a malignant woman which attacks and kills the faithful men and women. This is indeed the piece which contains the part of truth we will discuss later on, but it is indeed written from the perspective of those who seek to bind, weaken, torture, and use Agrath Batmalat exclusively for their own goals, without wanting to aid the entity or in his agenda, nor fully tap into her mysteries. Now, once we finished this part of the video, I will show you the sigil of Agrath Batmalat and explain to you why sigil of Agrath Batmalat is important. You right now see the sigil of Agrath Batmalat on the screen. Now I will elaborate once again how to use sigil of Agrath Batmalat in your evocation. First, raise the sacred space and repeat the chants for calling her while looking at the sigil. Remember, do not focus exclusively on chants or on the sigil, because it will put your rational mind into action and disturb the basis of evocation. Instead, mechanically stare at the sigil and repeat the chants, while truly focusing on your intention and emotional drive to summon the spirit. Remember, your intention and emotional drive to summon the spirit are true tickers of evocation, which helps you to obstruct the rational mind and tap into the higher aspects of the self and the spirit world. The tools such as sigils, chants, incantations, seals, yantras, or mantras are simply there to ensure that within that state we will indeed meet the right spiritual intelligence we are trying to call. Those are safety measures and keys we use to effectively tap into the spirit world. However, if you are not able to tap into the higher aspects of your own soul and obstruct the rational mind and tap into spirit world through weakening of the rational aspect of the self, you are essentially trying to beat a dead horse. Dead horse will reach some distance, but it will be really difficult for you. So, remember, it is fundamental to focus not on superficial things such as incantation or glazing at the sigil like a lunatic. It's important to focus in reality on your intention and just mechanically repeat the chants and stare at the sigil. What will do and what will happen in that way is you will, through focusing on your intention on the emotional side and emotionally charged in that manner, looking at the sigil and mechanically repeating the chant. Through those three keys of intention, sigil, and incantation, you will drop the rational mind and eventually tap into the higher aspects of the self, which will make you able to communicate with the higher powers, such as Agrath Batmalat. Now, after we explained the use of the sigils, we came to the next really important part of the evocation process, which is actually done between the evocation of Agrath Batmalat and raising of the sacred space. So, after you first raise the sacred space, you should perform the exorcism. Now, what is the purpose of the exorcism? The purpose of the exorcism is to banish all of the spirits, energies, and obstructive forces which are here to weaken your operation and hinder communication with the spirit. Also, this exorcism helps you to indeed purify your own energetic field and makes you more receptive to the spirit realm. Now, let's start reciting the exorcism. The text of the exorcism you will see on the screen. I banish evil spirits in your name, Agrath. I banish evil spirits in your name, Agrath. I banish evil spirits in your name, Malika Nashmirion. I banish evil spirits in your name, Igrita. I banish evil spirits in your name, Nashmira. I banish evil spirits in your name, Batmalat. I banish evil spirits in your name, Batigratiel. I call hordes of Nashmirion to banish and destroy evil spirits. I call hordes of Nashmirion to devour all of the evil spirits who are attached to me, or all of the spirits who are trying to hinder this ritual. I banish all evil spirits by the power of Bat Malat, the daughters of Bat Malat, Agrath, the great queen. I vibrate the names of power. Agrath, Igrit, Igritela, Agratila, Agratishtaisabel. When you raise the sacred space, repeat this exorcism you see right now on the screen, over and over and over again, until you feel the space where you are performing the ritual is purified and completely cleaned of all negative energy. Now, once you raise the sacred space and perform the exorcism enough times, you are free to use the evocation method I gave you in previous part of this video. During the repetition of exorcism, you need to focus on intention to violently destroy, devour, and obliterate everything which stands between you and the success of this ritual. With that feeling of rage, read this exorcism over and over and over again. If you have some negative attachments, what will happen is you will indeed feel that something is stopping you from reciting the exorcism. You will indeed feel sudden feelings of depression, sudden feelings of anxiety, or you will feel that something or somebody is draining you. What you should do in that situation is the following. If you feel distracted, or if you feel somebody is draining you, or if you feel sudden anxiety during the repetition of this exorcism, or if you feel strong urge to stop the exorcism, you should, instead of stopping, continue reading it even more, with even more rage and passion. Why, you ask? Because those emotions during the reading of the exorcism are a sign that you have certain negative attachments and negative entities or energies attached. And those entities or energies can indeed be, how I can say, harmful to you in your daily life. So this practice is beneficial even for the non-practitioners. And it should be performed daily, regardless of do you want to summon Agrath or not. If you are not demon magic practitioner, then exorcisms should be performed with different kinds of spirits. But daily practice of exorcism is extremely important for spiritual practitioner of any kind. Now, when we explained exorcism and evocation, we will talk about the last aspects of this. For the end of this video, need to talk about complexity and importance of evocation for ascension as well as why you shouldn't take evocation lightly. Now, this video isn't designed to scare you away from evocation. However, there are some things which need to be said. First and foremost, one needs to raise sacred space properly and respect all of the safety measures given within this video in order to guarantee the safe communication with the spirit in question. And this is extremely important because attracting parasitic entities or imposters in the ritual is a really bad thing which can destroy and ruin the life of the sorcerer. That's why you should indeed respect the safety measures given within this video. Fasting and abstaining from sex, especially during the first contact, definitely helps. My advice is to perform astral senses development exercises and abstain from sex in all his forms for 3 weeks before first time trying to contact Agrath Batmalat. This should be accompanied with the daily practice of the middle pillar ritual or other forms of middle pillar ritual you can find on my channel. If you want, you can practice all forms of the middle pillar ritual for the sake of balance. But I recommend my middle pillar rituals or middle pillar rituals of other black magical authors such as V.K. Jehanum, because they are indeed attuned to the qliphothic current and help in the work with the qliphothic spirits. I also recommend strong fasting at least 3 days before initial contact with Agrath Batmalat. Now I will tell you why I recommend those things. I am indeed not your mother and father, and I am not your carer, so I cannot force you to do things. What I can do is I can indeed help you and tell you why I am giving this advice. It is fundamental to learn how to drop rational mind during the evocation. All of the things which help you to drop rational mind during evocation are good things which help the efficiency of evocation practice. Fasting and sexual abstinence are 2 things which are really effective in weakening your conscious mind because they increase your ability to visualize, and they also increase your ability to drop conscious mind at will. Those practices also increase self-discipline, which is a fundamental aspect of magic. Now, when we talk about this, we need to understand that this preparation, if it is taken care of, attracts the attention of the spirits. Your aura is simply purer, more strong and dense when you fast, practice middle pillar rituals, and abstain from sex. Those are practices which empower aura. Now, since fasting is definitely not a great part of my practice, I recommend fasting extremely only 3 days before the ritual. When I say fasting extremely, it means drinking only water and having only small meal maybe once or twice a day. You need to be technically hungry all the time for 3 days, but not hungry to the point of hunger overwhelming you. You know what I'm saying. Also, chakra purification exercises and astral senses development exercises, as I said earlier, are fundamental practices which need to be learned for the decent evocation. Also, what you need to know is that learning how to master yourself through practices such as meditation greatly help in your evocation success. Also, evoking spirit during the appropriate day and hour will greatly empower your ability to reach out to the spirit. In my personal experience, which is verified by the experience of some other magicians, indeed Agrath Batmalat is heavily Mercurian entity, and she heavily corresponds to the Mercury as a planet. So summoning her during the night of Mercury, which is actually the Tuesday night, in the hour of Mercury, will greatly help your chance of contacting her. If you cannot call her during the night hour of Mercury, which is the hour after the day of Tuesday, you should indeed call her during the day of Mercury, which is Wednesday, in the hour of Mercury. Now, I use the archaic method of night hours, which says that the day of particular planets starts not when the sun rises, but when the sun of the previous day sets. For example, sun sets in Monday, and when the sun of the Monday sets, the Tuesday starts. So the night of the Monday is actually the planetary night of the Mars, and then the day of Mars lasts until sun sets at Tuesday, and actually Tuesday night is the night of Mercury. So the planetary night is actually the night before the planetary day, if you understand me. So I need to talk a little bit more about evocation. Once you evoke the spirit properly, you are creating a strong link between you and the entity, which cannot be broken. Because of those reasons, you need to be careful what you are summoning, and you need to talk a little bit and to think a little bit. Do I want to evoke this entity and create temporary, unbreakable, and permanent link with this spirit? When I say temporary, I mean that that link will, after first evocation, dissipate after some time, but it will definitely change your soul long term. But if you evoke spirit on multiple occasions, more you will evoke it, the stronger will influence of that spirit be over you. That's why you need to think twice before you evoke particular spirit. You also need to take care about office of that spirit. What is the spirit I am trying to summon good for? Now, this is my experience regarding Agrath Batmalat. What is she good for? She is good for all things concerning the mind, which means that she can bring any form of knowledge, of any science and art. She can bring insanity. She is extreme patron of baneful magic, if you want to fuck up somebody. She is good at seduction. She can open the gateways between the worlds, teach you how to go into deeper trance states, teach you how to use plants and stones in your sorcery, and the most importantly, she can initiate you into higher mysteries of the left emanation or the underworld through use of sexual sorcery. And she does it in a more gentle way than majority of spirits I work with. So if you want to obtain intellectual knowledge, if you want to seduce or curse somebody, if you want to learn astral travel or how to reach trance, and if you want to initiate into the underworld using sexual sorcery, then Agrath Batmalat is ideal spirit for you to work with. If you want some kind of protection, she is also good, but not as good as other spirits. And last thing I can say about Agrath is that she really likes to make you earn money, but she does it exclusively through means of communication. So if you do some job which relates to communication and exchange information, she is really good. But if you want to make money in other areas, it is better to ask some other spirits for help. And she is also patron of those who want to earn money through sex work. So all of those bitches who use OnlyFans to make money, Agrath Batmalat will help you making money with OnlyFans. I don't have OnlyFans, guys, but what I can say, I make money through other means. So thank you for watching and see you next time.